house means, it actually means life. La palabra herencia en ese escritura quiere decir vida. So, literalmente lo que estaba haciendo el joven es estaba gastando su vida. Really what he was doing in that moment is he was wasting his life away. And so we see that this young man is wasting his wealth. He's partying it up. And until one day, the evidence of wasting his life is now being seen physically. La evidencia de todo la gastadera de lo que hizo, se manifestó en una manera física. Porque espiritualmente se desconectó del Padre y ahora estaba pobre, ¿verdad? Espiritualmente, pero ahora físicamente ya estaba pobre. Right? So what happened spiritually when he left the Father's house is now becoming physical in his walk. Now it's becoming physical. Now he has no money in his bank account. Now he no tiene dinero en su cuenta bancaria. No tiene para sostenerse. No tiene. Déjame decirle algo. Cuando una persona se aleja de Dios, la evidencia en su vida no sale inmediatamente. Cuando uno se aleja de Dios, uno vive en la sobreabundancia de la bendición de Dios, pero llega un punto donde ya no hay bendición y es evidente físicamente. Porque, ¿sabe por qué? Porque cuando se fue de la casa del Padre, se desconectó del sustento. He disconnected from the source. And I know there's people, you see them on Instagram, you see them all over the place. You're like, well, they're not in church, and look at what they're living up, and look at what they're doing. They got a new car, really? Come on, I've been serving the Lord. But I want to tell you, if they are not in the Father's house, they are disconnected from the source, and eventually it will show up physically. And one day, he was like, I have no money. Él dijo, no tengo dinero, no tengo para comer, no tengo nada. It's just a drastic change. Like one day from it's like I have nothing. I had it all and now I have nothing. Lo tenía todo y ahora tengo nada. Y la Biblia dice que fue a trabajar por una persona. The Bible says that he went to join himself with another person. And literally what that means is he became that person's slave. He joined himself. And so he joined himself to that person. Y lo que hizo es, fue a trabajar por una persona y se convirtió al esclavo de esa persona. He became their slave. And so we see that the Bible says that he's out there and he's feeding the pigs. Que la Biblia nos dice que está afuera o lo mandaron fuera y está dándole a comer a los cerdos. It's interesting because he wanted to eat the pig's food. Él quería comer tanto que deseaba la comida de los cerdos. It's I don't get it, but this is what happens is that when you are malnourished spiritually, you'll eat anything. Cuando no tienes nutrios espirituales, vamos a decir, comes cualquier cosa. You'll eat the stuff on Instagram even though it's not theologically correct. It's crazy. La gente, okay, let me move forward. And one day he says, I'm hungry, I want to eat the pig's food, and I have no idea what I'm doing. So one day he asked himself, what am I doing? Un día te pregunto, ¿qué estoy haciendo? ¿Qué estoy haciendo? Tengo hambre, no tengo comida, I'm hungry, I have no food. What am I doing? And he began to have an internal conversation. Y comenzó a tener una conversación internamente. Have any of you had internal conversations? Yeah, any of y'all talk to yourselves? Yeah, no? Okay, I do sometimes. Just depends who's around. He began to have an internal conversation. Comenzó a tener una conversación interna. Y estaba diciendo, ¿sabes qué? Tengo hambre, no tengo de comer, soy un esclavo aquí. Es mejor en la casa de mi padre. Right? He starts saying, I'm hungry, I have no food, I'm a slave. And he starts saying, it's better in the Father's house, right? That's what he says. It's better. It's better when I was at Dad's place. It's better when I was a son. Era mejor cuando era hijo. Era mejor cuando estaba en la casa de mi padre. It was just better. And he says it was better. And the Bible says that he came to his senses. I don't know how it says in Spanish, pero que vino a sí mismo. En otras palabras, se le prendió el foquito, ¿verdad? Se le prendió el foco de que, ¿sabes qué? Es mejor en la casa de mi padre. He said, you know what? It's better in my Father's house. I have no idea what I'm doing here. And what he realized in that moment was that he was lost. En ese momento lo que se dio cuenta es que él estaba perdido. Un día antes o días antes, él estaba viviendo la vida. Tenía dinero, tenía todo lo que él necesitaba. Pero unos días después, no tenía nada. Él estaba en un momento de su punto más bajo en la vida. He was at the lowest point of his life. In other words, he had hit rock bottom. Those people, and I don't know where you're at in life right now, but if you are in rock bottom, God has a way of using rock bottom to make you see clearly. Dios tiene una manera, si estás en el punto más bajo de tu vida, Dios tiene manera de usar ese momento o ese punto en tu vida para hacerte ver más claro. And I think that's what we need in the world that we're living in. Yo creo que eso es lo que nosotros necesitamos en el mundo que estamos viviendo, de ver las cosas claras, to see things clearly. The son said, I'm lost. The son said, I'm lost. He said, it's better in my Father's house. I could. And the internal dialogue is interesting because he says, he's literally trying to manipulate the outcome of the conversation. Literalmente está tratando de manipular cómo la conversación va en la dirección que va a ir, right? He was trying to manipulate the outcome because he's saying, he goes, if I get home and I tell Dad this, and this, then he'll let me stay, right? Está diciendo, si yo le digo a papá esto y esto, a lo mejor me va a dejar que me quede. Right? It's interesting. Let's go further, okay? I'm getting ready to close so the musicians can come up. He said, I'm going to go back home. Dice, voy a regresar a casa. And if I could be honest with every one of us in this room and every person watching, si puedo ser honesto con cada uno de nosotros en este lugar y la gente que está viendo, es muy probable que algunos de nosotros necesitamos regresar a casa. It's very probable that many of us in this room may need to come back home. Because I talked about leaving, right? And how leaving happens slowly. Remember that? Hablé de cómo yéndonos de la casa del Padre pasa lentamente. You know what the pandemic did? The pandemic made it easy to leave. Lo que hizo la pandemia es que lo hizo más fácil para que nosotros nos alejáramos de la casa de Dios o de la casa del Padre. And if I could be honest, some of us probably need to come back home. You're like, what are you talking about? I'm physically here. I'm really here. Okay, great. I'm happy you're here. I honor you that you're here. Congratulations. Honestly, it's awesome that you're here on a Friday night. But I want to ask you, where is your heart? Quiero preguntarle a cada uno de nosotros que es bueno que estamos aquí en la casa de Dios en un viernes, pero estamos aquí físicamente. Pero ¿qué de nuestro corazón? ¿Dónde está nuestro corazón? Porque el corazón del hijo se fue más antes de que su cuerpo físico se fue. The son's heart left the father's house before his body ever left the door. So I want to ask this question. Where is our heart tonight? Is our heart close to the Father or is it far? I know our bodies here. I know our bodies watching online. I know that. But is our heart far from God? Yo sé que nuestro cuerpo está aquí en este lugar. Pero ¿dónde está nuestro corazón? Okay. ¿Dónde está nuestro corazón el lunes en la mañana? ¿Dónde está nuestro corazón el martes por la tarde? ¿Dónde está nuestro corazón? ¿Nuestro corazón está en la casa del Padre o nuestro corazón está lejos? Where is our heart? Is our heart in the house of the Father on a Tuesday night, or is it far? Where is our heart? Where's our heart? And it may be very probable that we need to come home. Some of us need to come home, and I know coming home seems scary because you don't know what you're going to encounter. I know some people that their shame and their guilt, and I think I've experienced that at points in my life as well, but I know some people that their shame and their guilt stops them from coming back to the Father. Yo creo que la vergüenza de una persona por sus errores, por las cosas que ha decidido hacer, impide que ellos regresen a casa. Right? Don't let guilt, don't let shame stop you from coming home. No dejes que la vergüenza, I don't know how you say shame. How do you say shame? I haven't preached in Spanish in like 5 years, sorry. Pero no dejes que nada te impide de regresar a casa. No dejes que nada impide de regresar a los pies del Padre. No dejes que nada impide que tú regreses a los pies de Jesucristo. You know, we're living in a time where it is evident that the enemy comes to kill, steal, and destroy. Estamos viviendo en un tiempo donde es evidente que el enemigo quiere robarnos todo, que todo nuestro paz, toda nuestra, he wants to steal our joy, he wants to steal our peace, quiere robar el gozo, la paz, nos quiere robar. He wants to take it from us. He wants to take it from us. But I want to tell you that there is a Father at the house that is willing to restore everything that the enemy has taken from you. Que hay un Padre en casa que quiere restaurar todo lo que el enemigo te ha robado. I'm getting ready to close. I don't know. It's interesting to me because the Son says, or the Bible says that the Son got up and he went to the Father. Que el Hijo se levantó y fue a la casa del Padre. And there's a lot going on in this picture. Thank you. There's a lot going on in this picture. There's a lot going on in what happens. And I want to give you some points of what's going on because this story is powerful because, I mean, obviously Jesus is saying it, but he got up and he went to the Father. Él se levantó y fue al Padre. Pero te puedes imaginar el Hijo. Yo no sé ustedes si there's different age groups, but you did something when you were a young or a kid. You're like, oh man, if my dad or mom finds out, I'm dead. Any of y'all? No? Si papi o mami se dan cuenta de lo que hice en esta noche, muerto, right? Done. Right? ¿Algunos de ustedes no? Okay. Y'all ain't being real. But this guy, can you imagine the nerves, right? The kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm going home. Dad's going to kill me. Estoy regresando a casa. Dios me va. Papi, apá, whatever we call him. Apá me va a regañar. He's going to let me have it. So on his way home, he's getting to the village where he once pertained. Está llegando a la ciudad. Y la Biblia dice que el Padre lo ve desde lejos. The Bible says that the Father sees him from far away. And dad, I know some dads that'll be like, let him come to me. He left, right? Let him come. Yo conozco unos padres que dijeran, right? Que no, él se quiso ir. Voy a esperarlo aquí. No voy a levantarme. Aquí estoy en mi sillón y no voy a levantarme. Que él venga. Pero este padre se levantó lleno de compasión y corrió hacia donde estaba su hijo. This father, full of compassion, ran to the son. That's important. That's important. Because he is being greeted by a father that he literally wished death upon. Está recibido por un padre que literalmente el hijo quiso que se muriera. Dame tu herencia. And so dad is now embracing the son. Ahora el padre está abrazando a su hijo, le da un beso, he gives him a hug and a kiss, and he welcomes him home. He says, come. Ven a la casa, ven. It's almost like everything that he feared, it was the exact opposite. Todo lo que el hijo temía era al otro extremo, ¿verdad? It was the opposite of what he had expected. And so he's going home and he's probably like, what in the world's going on? I have no idea what's going on. And he's walking in his house and he's like, he has no idea. But dad is excited that he's home. El padre está emocionado que su hijo ha regresado. And he says, you know what? We're going to have a party. We're going to have a party because my son was dead, but now he lives. Y él dijo, ¿sabes qué? Vamos a tener una fiesta, vamos a tener una pachanga. Trae a todos los vecinos, mata la becerra más grande, the fattest cow, kill it, and we're going to have a party because my son was dead and now he lives. And I want to tell you that if you come home, there is a father ready to have a party. Yo quiero decirle que si tú regresas a casa, hay un padre que está listo para tener fiesta. And he has a party, right? He has a party, and I'm getting ready to close. He has a party, and he throws a party, and it's interesting to me that he invites the whole village. That whole village were the people that were talking about the son that left. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the cheese man? The cheese, all that stuff that's going on. Did you hear about the kid? He left. He took all his money. He left. What is he doing? Oh, he's now back at the father's. You know what the father was doing by throwing him a party? He was covering his son. ¿Sabe lo que estaba diciendo el padre cuando le hizo una fiesta al hijo? Estaba cubriendo a su hijo. He says, I don't care what my son did, but he is now back home. And he didn't just tell the household, he told the whole village, we're going to have a party because my son is home. And I don't know who needs to come home tonight, but there is a God in heaven that is waiting for you to come home. Yo no sé quién necesita regresar a casa, voltear su corazón a Dios una vez más. Y hay un Dios listo para tener una fiesta. Not only did he run, you can stand. Pueden ponerse de pie. I'm done. Not only did he meet him with compassion, he didn't just meet him with compassion. He didn't just meet him with a hug and an embrace. And he didn't just meet him with a party. He took it a step further. The Bible says that he gave him a ring and a robe. La Biblia nos dice que le dio un anillo y I don't know even how you say robe. Golly goodness. What was that? Cape, capa, right, whatever. He gave him a ring and a robe. And what he did with the robe y lo que hizo con la vestidura, lo que le estaba diciendo al padre a todos los que estaban ahí es que porque la ley judía decía que cuando el hijo se iba de la casa en rebelión, que ya no era parte, no tenía parte en la casa, no tenía parte en el nombre. Eso lo que estaba haciendo el padre cuando le puso esta vestimenta, le estaba diciendo a todos los que estaban en esta fiesta, le estaba diciendo: ¿sabe qué? A mí no me importa lo que dice la ley judía. Este hijo ahora está aquí y está vivo y todavía es mi hijo. Yo no lo voy a echar fuera, yo no lo voy a hacer a un lado. Él es mi hijo. Y lo que hizo con el anillo, and what he did with the ring, is he restored his authority, restauró su autoridad. Y eso decía: ¿sabe qué? Yo sé que se fue, yo sé que hizo errores, yo sé que hizo malas decisiones, pero en este momento yo estoy restaurando a este hijo, a su herencia. Yo estoy restaurando a ese hijo, a su lugar y a su autoridad. I am restoring my son to his rightful place as a son, and I am giving him back his authority. And the last thing the father gave him was some sandals, gave him some shoes. And there's not one consensus of what that means, but literally what sandals mean in this text is that the father was giving him a new walk. Que el padre le estaba dando sandalias, le estaba dando a su hijo un nuevo caminar. Porque sabe lo que hizo el dueño, porque recuerda que se hizo esclavo de otra persona. Lo que hicieran los dueños de los esclavos, le quitaban los sandalias para que they would take the sandals from the slaves, so that way it would be harder for the slave to leave. So he had no sandals. That means he took the walk without sandals. So I want to tell you that what the father did in that moment was he gave him back sandals. In other words, he gave him back his identity. He gave him back his place. He gave him back a new walk. You were a slave, but now you're a son. Le dijo: eras un esclavo, pero ahora es un hijo. You are now a son. And I don't know how many of you need to come home. And I want every person to close their eyes in this room, because I believe that God is going to bring restoration into this room. He's going to bring restoration to your life. He's going to bring restoration to your ministry. He's going to bring restoration to your family, to your marriage. He's going to bring restoration in this moment. Todo ojo se cierra en este momento. Every eye closed in this room. But I want you to think, where is your heart? Is it far from the Father? And if it's far from the Father, it's time to come home. ¿Dónde está tu corazón? Si está lejos de tu Padre, o es tiempo de regresar. It's time to come home. It's time to come home. And if that's you, and you say, you know what, I got to make some changes in my life. I got to. It's time to come home. I think I'm good, but I don't know if I'm good. I want to come home. I want the joy of my salvation back. Yo quiero el gozo de mi salvación otra vez. No sé, this pandemic messed me up. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. I have no idea where I stand. But if there's people that say, you know what, I want to come home. Yo quiero